I never thought betrayal would come from the two people I trusted most. But there she was, my stepsister, standing in my place, wearing the ring that was meant for me. And beside her, the woman I had planned to spend my life with. My fiancée, the love of my life. I clenched my fists, forcing myself to stay still. The world around me blurred, voices faded, but the sight of them smiling, hand in hand, burned itself into my memory like a scar I would never erase. She looked happy, my fiancée, as if she had never whispered promises of forever in my ear. As if she hadn't held my hand just days ago, telling me she loved me. And my stepsister? She smirked, that smirk. The one that told me this wasn't an accident. This wasn't fate. This was her plan all along. I should have seen the signs. The way she lingered when my fiancé and I were together. The subtle touches, the stolen glances. The way she spoke about me, as if she knew something I didn't. But love makes you blind. And now, I wasn't blind anymore. I was awake. I was done being the fool. That night, something inside me shattered, and in its place, something colder took root. If my stepsister wanted to see the man I could become the man she should fear, then so be it. Because I was no longer the man who loved. I was the man who would make them regret ever betraying me. I was never the type to believe in fairy tales. Love, to me, was something built brick by brick, through trust, understanding, and time. And for the longest time, I thought I had built something unbreakable. My name is Ryan Carter, and I had spent the last 4 years of my life devoted to one woman, Sophia Reynolds. Sophia wasn't just my fiancée. She was my best friend, my safe place, the woman who made life feel worth it. From the moment we met in college, I knew she was special. She had this light about her, warm, kind, effortlessly beautiful. She wasn't like the others. She wasn't drawn to wealth or status. She saw me, the real me, and for that, I fell hard. I worked tirelessly to give her the life she deserved. Late nights, long hours, I didn't care, as long as it meant I could build a future with her. And then there was Emily Carter, my stepsister. Emily and I weren't related by blood. Our parents had married when we were teenagers, forcing us into an awkward sibling dynamic neither of us really asked for. She was younger than me by 2 years, shark-tongued, and had a habit of getting what she wanted. We weren't close, but we weren't enemies either. At least, that's what I thought. She was charming when she wanted to be, had a way of making people trust her without realizing it. Maybe that's why I never questioned it when she started spending more time around Sophia. At first, it seemed harmless. She and Sophia got along well, laughing over coffee, shopping together, bonding in a way I thought was just natural. I remember teasing Sophia once, saying, "If I didn't know any better, I'd think you and Emily were the ones getting married." She had only laughed, brushing it off. She's just easy to talk to. She understands things in a way most people don't. I never thought twice about it. Why would I? Emily was my stepsister. Sophia was my fiancée. Two of the most important people in my life. I had no reason to believe that, behind my back, they were weaving a story of betrayal that would leave me shattered. Looking back, the signs had been there all along. The stolen glances. The way Emily's lips curled slightly whenever Sophia mentioned me. The lingering touches too subtle for an outsider to notice, but I saw them. I just didn't want to believe them. Because believing them meant acknowledging a truth too painful to face. The beginning of the end had started on an ordinary evening. Sophia and I were having dinner at our favorite restaurant, a small Italian place tucked away on a quiet street. It was where we had our first date, where I proposed to her under the soft glow of candlelight. That night, she seemed distracted. Her fingers played with the edge of her wine glass, her eyes darting to her phone more times than usual. "Everything okay?" I asked, setting my fork down. She blinked, as if suddenly realizing I was watching her. "What?" "Oh yeah, just tired." It was a simple answer, but something felt off. I didn't push. Not yet. Halfway through dinner, her phone vibrated again. She glanced at the screen, And in that brief second, I saw the slight widening of her eyes, the way her lips parted, as if she had just received the message she wasn't expecting. A message that rattled her. "Who's that?" I asked casually, though my chest tightened. She hesitated. Just for a moment. But hesitation is all it takes for doubt to bloom. "No one," she said too quickly, flipping her phone over. "Just Emily asking about some dress she wants to borrow." Emily. I forced a smile and nodded, but the unease settled deep in my stomach. I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. But something in my gut whispered, she's lying. The first crack over the next few weeks, the distance between us grew. Sophia was always busy, late meetings, sudden errands, unexplained absences. She started locking her phone, something she had never done before. And Emily? She was around more than usual. She would drop by my place unannounced, flashing that ever-so-innocent smile of hers. "Just checking in on my dear big brother," she would say, plopping herself on my couch like she owned the place. But I saw the way she looked at me. Not with concern. With amusement. Like she knew something I didn't. Like she was waiting for me to figure it out. And then, one night, I did. The message that changed everything. It was late. Sophia had fallen asleep beside me, her phone resting on the nightstand. Another vibration. Another message. I wouldn't have looked. I wasn't that kind of man. But something inside me, some nagging voice that had been whispering for weeks, pushed me to reach for it. The screen lit up. "I can't wait to see you again. Last night was perfect." Read. My heart stopped. The contact name? Emily. I stared at the words, my mind struggling to process them. Last night? She had told me she was out with friends, but she wasn't. She was with my stepsister. And whatever they had done together, whatever last night meant, was something I wasn't meant to know. My hand clenched around the phone. The weight of the trail crashed over me, suffocating, crushing. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was planned, deliberate. And worst of all, they had done it right in front of me, knowing I would never suspect a thing. As I sat there, staring at that message, I felt something inside me shift. The man who had loved Sophia, the man who had trusted so blindly, died that night. And in his place, someone colder, sharper, stronger was born. Because if they thought I would just break down and disappear, they were wrong. I sat there, staring at the screen, my breath shallow. The message glowed in the dark, mocking me. "I can't wait to see you again. Last night was perfect." Read. I read it again, and again, hoping, praying that I had misunderstood, that it meant something else. But deep down, I knew the truth. Sophia stirred beside me, shifting under the covers, her breathing steady and peaceful. I turned to look at her. The woman I had loved. The woman I had trusted. Lying there as if she hadn't just ripped my heart out. A bitter laugh almost escaped my lips. Had she been thinking about Emily while sleeping next to me? Had she been dreaming about her while I held her close, foolishly believing we were still in love? I clenched the phone in my fist, my pulse hammering in my ears. I should wake her up. I should shake her and demand answers. But what would she say? Would she lie? Make excuses? Or worse, would she not even bother? Would she just look at me with pity, as if I had been nothing more than a stepping stone? The thought made my stomach turn. I got out of bed slowly, careful not to wake her, and walked into the bathroom. I gripped the sink, staring at my reflection in the mirror. There was a time I would have dismissed this. A time I would have let love blind me, let doubt creep in, and convince me I was overreacting. Maybe it's not what it looks like. Maybe there's an explanation. Maybe I'm imagining things. But not this time. This time, I knew. I scrolled up through their texts, my hands trembling. It wasn't just one message. There were dozens. Late-night conversations, inside jokes, secret meetings, everything right there, hidden in plain sight. And the worst part? The familiarity. The way Sophia spoke to Emily, the way she laughed through her texts, the way she said, "I miss you." It was the same way she used to talk to me when we first fell in love. The realization hit me like a truck. I had already been replaced, and they weren't even trying to hide it anymore. I gritted my teeth, my nails digging into my palms. I wanted to confront her, to scream, to throw the phone in her face and demand to know how long this had been going on. But then I hesitated. Would it even matter? Would she cry and beg for forgiveness? Or would she just shrug, tell me it just happened, that she didn't mean to hurt me? No. That wasn't good enough. I wouldn't let them control the narrative. I wouldn't let them turn me into the pathetic, heartbroken fool. I took a deep breath, forcing the anger down. This wasn't the time to explode. This was the time to plan. I needed to be smart, calculated. If they thought they had Onif, they thought I would crumble, then they didn't know me at all. I glanced back at the bedroom, where Sophia still lay, completely unaware that I knew her secret. For the first time since this nightmare began, I smirked. Let them enjoy their little game, because soon it would be my turn to play. The next morning, I acted as if nothing had changed. Sophia woke up, stretched her arms, and gave me a sleepy smile. "Morning," she murmured, her voice soft, affectionate. I stared at her for a moment. This woman, this liar, still had the audacity to look at me like that, as if I was the only man in her world, as if she hadn't been sneaking around behind my back. I forced a smile. "Morning." She kissed my cheek before heading to the bathroom. I watched her go, my mind racing. Would she text Emily the moment she thought I wasn't looking? Would she send her another "I miss you" while I was standing right there? I wanted to check her phone, wanted to see if she had deleted the messages, but I held back. No. I had a better idea. I needed to see it for myself. I needed proof. So, I played my part. At breakfast, I kissed her goodbye as if nothing was wrong. I left for work like I always did, but I didn't go to the office. Instead, I parked my car down the street from our apartment and waited. And right on cue, an hour later, Sophia emerged. Dressed up, hair done. Not for work. For someone. I gripped the steering wheel as she got into her car and drove off. I followed, block after block, turn after turn, until she pulled up in front of a hotel. A hotel. I felt the blood drain from my face. She stepped out of the car, looking around cautiously. Then, as if she had been waiting for someone, she checked her phone. Seconds later, a black sedan pulled up beside her. Emily stepped out, and my world stopped. They were meeting here? At a hotel? What the hell was going on? My chest tightened as I watched them exchange a few words. Then, Sophia laughed, a familiar laugh. What I used to think was meant for me. Then, to my horror, Emily reached out and tucked a strand of Sophia's hair behind her ear. The touch was slow, intimate. And then, Sophia leaned in and whispered something in her ear. Emily smirked. They walked inside together. I gripped the door handle so hard, my knuckles turned white. My stepsister. My fiancée. A hotel room. There was no other way to interpret this. This wasn't just an affair. This wasn't some reckless mistake. This was calculated. Planned. And the worst part? They enjoyed it. I felt sick. Every moment we spent together, every kiss, every whispered, "I love you," it had all been a lie. A cruel, twisted lie. And I had been the fool who believed it. For a long time I just sat there, gripping the steering wheel, my jaw clenched so tight it hurt. Then, slowly, I exhaled. And I smiled. Not out of happiness, not out of love, but out of something colder. Darker. You wanted to play this game, Sophia? Emily? Fine. Let's see how you handle it when I start playing too. I sat in the dimly lit bar, the ice in my whiskey glass melting as I swirled it absent-mindedly. Across from me, Emily sat stiffly, her fingers gripping the stem of her untouched wine glass. She had no idea why I had invited her here. but I could see the suspicion in her eyes. Good. Let her wonder. Let her feel the slow, creeping anxiety that I had felt when I first read those messages. I leaned back in my chair, tilting my head. "You and Sophia," I said casually, watching her closely. "How long has it been?" Emily's eyes widened, but just for a second. Then, she schooled her expression into something neutral. Too late. I had already seen the panic. "Excuse me?" she said, trying to feign confusion. I laughed, a slow, quiet laugh that made her shift in her seat. "Don't bother lying, Emily," I said, tapping my phone on the table. "I know everything." I watched her carefully, waiting to see if she'd try to deny it, try to spin some ridiculous excuse. But to my surprise, she didn't. She sighed, rolling her shoulders back as if dropping an unnecessary weight. "All right," she said, her voice calm. "You know. So what now?" I stared at her. That was it? No shame? No regret? Just acceptance? I leaned forward. "You stole my fiancée, Emily," I said, my voice dangerously low. "And you're sitting there like it means nothing." Emily chuckled. Actually chuckled. "Stole?" she repeated, smirking. "Come on, you make it sound like she was yours to begin with." My blood turned to ice. "You think this is funny?" I asked, my voice steady despite the rage burning inside me. Emily shrugged. "I think you're just mad that she chose me over you." I clenched my jaw. She wanted me to break. She wanted me to lash out, to make a scene. Not happening. Instead, I smiled. "You know what, Emily?" I said, my tone eerily calm. "You're right." She blinked, clearly thrown off. "I what?" I leaned in. "Sophia did choose you." Emily's smirk returned. "But tell me," I continued, my voice smooth as silk. "Does she know?" Her smile faltered. "Know what?" I pulled out a small envelope and slid it across the table. She hesitated before picking it up. Inside were pictures. Of me and Sophia. Together. Recent ones. Emily's hands trembled slightly as she flipped through them. A picture of Sophia in my arms. A picture of me tucking her hair behind her ear just like Emily had done. A picture of her kissing me. Emily looked up, her face pale. "You're lying," she whispered. I smirked. "Am I?" Her breathing became shallow. I could see the cracks forming, the confidence slipping. "Good. You thought you won," I murmured. "Thought you took her from me. But you never did, Emily. Because in the end, she still came back to me." Emily's face twisted in anger. "No. She loves me, does she?" I asked, tilting my head. "Then why did she spend the night in my bed last week?" I saw the exact moment the fight left her. She slumped back, staring at the photos, her expression empty. And that's when I delivered the final blow. "You thought you stole her," I said, my voice laced with quiet triumph. "But you were just borrowing her." I stood up, leaving her sitting there, broken. Now, I had just one more person to deal with, Sophia. Sophia stared at the pictures in her trembling hands, her face drained of all color. You followed me?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. I let out a quiet, humorless laugh. "That's what you're upset about? That I found out the truth?" She clutched the pictures like they could somehow erase what she had done. "Liam, please." "Save it," I cut her off, my voice sharp. "I already heard all the excuses from Emily. Let me guess it just happened? Or maybe I never meant to hurt you?" Tears welled in her eyes. "I was confused, Liam. I didn't know what I wanted." I clenched my jaw. "No. You knew exactly what you wanted, and it wasn't me." Her lip quivered, but I didn't care anymore. The woman I loved, the woman I once planned to marry, had shattered every last piece of trust I had left. And yet, she still had the audacity to beg. "I made a mistake," she choked out. "Please, Liam, I still love you." I stared at her, expression unreadable. Then I reached into my pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Her breath caught. Liam. I flipped it open. Inside sat the engagement ring I had once planned to slip onto her finger, the same ring I had held onto, hoping that maybe, just maybe, she'd prove me wrong. But she never did. I picked up the ring, holding it between my fingers. You know, I said, my voice dangerously calm, when I first bought this, I thought it was a symbol of forever, that no matter what happened, we'd always find our way back to each other. Sophia's lips parted, her eyes desperate. We can, Liam. We can fix this. I exhaled a slow breath. Then, without hesitation, I flicked the ring toward her. It hit the floor with a small clink, rolling until it stopped at her feet. She gasped, staring down at it as if it had physically struck her. No, I said, my voice as cold as ice. We can't. She scrambled to pick up the ring, clutching it tightly. Liam, please. I turned away. You made your choice, I said, heading for the door. Now you get to live with it. I grabbed my coat and walked out, slamming the door behind me. I didn't look back. I wouldn't ever look back. Because the man who once loved her, the man she betrayed, was gone. And the man she feared? He was just getting started.